Okay guys, this is going to be my Season 7 Gangplank guide, and we're going to start off with the item build. And as you can see on the right side of the screen here, now you go Trinity Force first, which normally you try and get Sheen first back, which would be good, and then you go Ionian Boots, then you go Infinity Edge, then you go Static Shiv, Phantom Dancer, and you finish it with Essence Reaver. And in the end, if you want to sell the Ionian Boots for like Merc Treads or maybe Sterix Gauge or Guardian Angel or something like that, you can do that too. So that's just the basic item build. So you just follow that for pretty much every game. And now we will go into our more specific item build, which you start off normally with Dorian's Ring and 2 pots. And then you can buy boots anytime, tier 1 boots anytime, or you could maybe get Corruption Potion if you want the extra trading damage. And also I like to get Call pretty much every game. It just helps with your farming, but maybe if you're not that good at farming yet, you could maybe skip that because you won't even get to 100 CS by a reasonable time. So after that you get your standard items, which you can see there, which I explained earlier. But then at the end of the game, when you sell your boots, or possibly earlier if you really need it, you can get either of the Last Whisper items, or you could get Mob Memorius, say if they have like 3 APs, or just a really fed AP. You get Sterix Gauge, or maybe Guardian's Angel. And I forgot to add this, but like if they're all AD, you could possibly get like Randuin's or Dead Man's Plate. Okay guys, this next section is going to be about Gangplank in the laning phase, as that title said, and it will have lane matchups and also some tips and tricks for being able to win the laning phase. Okay, so here is a long list of who counters Gangplank and who Gangplank counters and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the never fight list, which means just try and farm, build like a little baby, don't do anything, just run. Yeah. Okay, so you never fight Irelia because she has too much damage for you pretty much throughout the game until about you have maybe like 3 or 4 items, which by then you should be team fighting anyways. Garen, he will silence you, and yeah, you can't do much when you're silenced other than auto attack, and he will out auto attack trade you, then just kill you. Darius, enough said. Poppy, I have found to be too tanky to be able to kill her, and she also does more damage than you, even though she's tankier. I don't like that champion. I sometimes ban her, even though I do normally ban Darius. Tom Kench, same thing as Poppy. For some reason I can't kill him. I don't know where his damage comes from, but same for Nautilus and Malphite, which are both on the list. I hate tanks, just saying. Okay, Renekton, he just has more damage than you, pretty much as a lane counter. If you farm well and are about even with him in CS, I'd say you can fight him around 15 or 20 minutes in, as long as you play well. Pantheon, just too much lane presence. Just try and farm and ping when he's missing and ult and try and get fed off of that. Okay, the next section is the middle section, which is people that do kind of counter you, but if they mess up, you're able to kill them. So that starts off with Trundle, who has a decent amount of damage, but if he misplays, uses his abilities at the wrong time, or just doesn't know how to use his pillar correctly, you can normally take advantage of him and kill him as long as you bait out his ultimate or something like that. Cannon, if he misses his Q and you orange his stun quickly enough, you can normally kill him. Gnar, even though a lot of people says he counters Gangplank really hard, from my experience, which is probably like 20 games played against him or so, because he's pretty popular, if you don't feed like level 1 or 2 and then you want to try and fight him around level 8 or 9, it's pretty easy to win as long as you play it correctly and make sure you orange his ultimate or his W. Jarvan just has a lot of early game lane presence, but normally if you live, you'll be able to kill him a little bit later on. Maybe once he misses his EQ, then all in him right after that, and keep a barrel in the bush, so that way right after he misses and he's close to your bush, you can just hit him with the barrel chain and normally kill him like that. Sion, he's really tanky, but he just doesn't have enough damage, and you can pretty much always get out of his Q before it lands. And also, the second, even though his Q smashes down and is considered a knock-up, most of the CC of it is actually a stun, so you can orange most of it. Next person is Riven, who normally kills you like levels 1 through like 8 or 9, but then later on, if you set up the correct barrels, put them in the right spot, prepare correctly, and you can even flash her ultimate, any of those ways you're able to kill her. Fiora, you can normally kill her unless she parries your barrel or something like that, or maybe your auto attack with your passive. Other than that, you can probably kill her around level 9. Rengar, pretty much it's literally just a skill matchup. Whoever's better is going to win. If you think you're experienced, fight him. If you don't fight him. If he has exhaust or ignite, you probably should either bait it out or only fight him if you know you can still win. Jax, he's pretty weird, as in you can beat him levels 1 and 2, poke him down, but depending on how good he is, he won't let you poke him down that much. Don't fight him at like level 6, but level 1 through 3, and then level like 7 through the rest of the game, you should be able to beat him. So just don't fight him in between like 4 and 6, because he'll win. Okay, now the next list is people you should try to kill. Starts off with Shen, just 0 damage. You can W his stun, well, taunt. Wukong, I don't know, I think Wukong's fallen out of the meta as of pre-season 7, so you can just pretty much kill him. Nasus, just not enough damage early, and your passive shreds him along with your barrels. Quinn, probably just avoid her poke levels 1 through 2 and just play really far back, just in range to get the XP, and maybe CS with your Q a little bit. What I like to do is take an early back against Quinn, right once I get Sheen back, and teleport back into lane, and pretty much you can always kill her after that. Same thing with Teemo, actually, just use that same strategy, and it works 90% of the time. Yasuo is also a pretty good skill matchup, but I like to think, at least from my experience, being a Yasuo player and a Gangplank player, the Gangplank wins like 70% of the time. Next person, Vladimir, you can do more damage than he can heal, but if he does get fed, you could invest in the Last Whisper item, which will reduce his healing. Lissandra, you can always orange her ultimate or her W, so you can pretty much run her down and kill her pretty easily. She's not very good right now at the meta either, so you'll out-damage her throughout the whole game. Jace, a lot of people think he counters him, but I've lost to a Jace once as Gangplank, and that was against like a really good Jace, so I didn't really, that game I just got stomped. But other than that, if you dodge his Qs, keep a barrel in the bush, wait for him to miss a Q, then he'll jump on you, and then you can hit him with the barrel, and then you can normally kill him. Rumble, just not enough early game presence. You can kill him, and Aatrox, yeah, it's Aatrox, just kill him over and over again. Okay guys, now on to the barrel combination section. So the first one that you gotta learn to do, which is playing on screen right now, is the triple barrel. So you place down your first barrel, then you put the next one in front of it, and then right after you shoot the first one, you place down a third one, which if you do it correctly and fast enough, it will explode. And this is very useful to catch people off guard, because it's almost impossible to dodge if you do it right. And yeah, it's just very surprising damage, and it's very useful. Okay, so now on to the second one you can do. It's the same thing as the triple barrel, except you auto attack the first barrel instead of shooting it. Now this one, it might seem similar, but it is quite a bit harder, and you have to place it even faster than when you do the triple barrel. And as you see, I was trying to do it in this one so quickly that I don't even place the third barrel very much farther away. So I mean, that's not a very good example, but yeah, that one's pretty hard to do, but you'll eventually get used to it. Okay, now the third one that you can do, this one's the hardest one, is you just shoot your first barrel after you place it down, and then right after you shoot it, you place a second barrel. So yeah, this one can be very useful if you only have 2 barrels instead of 3. And also, it's very surprising when you do it, because not many people even know it exists, or if they do, they don't expect you to be able to do it. So yeah, this one, it takes a lot of practice, so just gotta work on that one. Okay, now the third thing or the fourth thing I wanted to show you guys in the laning phase is not a barrel combination, but you just gotta make sure you always have your ultimate ready to help out your team, whether that is saving your tower like that or just picking up some extra kills in the laning phase, because that can be very helpful. Okay guys, this isn't really tips or tricks, so the video on screen doesn't really have much to do with this, but it's just general info for Gangplank. You can play him top or mid, whichever one you prefer. I'm normally prefer top, but I've been testing out mid with exhaust because I've heard it's pretty good. So yeah, but in the laning phase as Gangplank, he's not very strong, so especially if you're new to him, you pretty much just want to farm, and if you out-farm your opponent, then you basically automatically win the laning phase, because I don't think anybody in the entire game outscales Gangplank, including Nasus, even if he's like, I mean, unless the game's like 2 hours or something, but that's not realistic. So yeah, you just want to farm with Gangplank, and if you're even or winning in CS, it's technically ahead because your Q gives you bonus gold, and also the call that you will get will give you bonus gold. So you don't really want to fight unless, one, it's an easy lane matchup and you're decent with Gangplank, or two, you're really good with Gangplank and you understand how to win the matchup. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that. So good luck in your games. Okay guys, this is going to be one of the final sections of this guide, and it's going to be Gangplank in Teamfights. And since I don't have too many clips to use, I'm just going to be have this image up and talk over it and then put clips in for examples. Okay, so the main thing that you want to do with Gangplank in the Teamfights is that you want to poke them before the teamfight actually starts. Since your barrels have so much range and they do so much damage, if you can chunk one or two other players to like half health or possibly even kill them, then it is a very big advantage to you, because it basically makes it a 4v5 or maybe even a 3v5 if you chunk two of them to like 30%. So that's the number one thing to do. The next important thing is that Gangplank, although he's technically a melee champion, you want to use him more of a ranged champion. You don't want to go into their whole team and just start hitting them. You mainly want to stay back and hit them with barrels until they're all low. So whether it takes 1 barrel to get them low enough or 3 barrel combinations to get them low enough, doesn't matter, because if you just run in there and pretend like you're some god, you're just gonna get killed. And yeah, I've learned that the hard way. So just make sure you play as if you're a ranged champion. And third thing is that you want to use your ult to either start the fight, stop the fight, or make your backline safe, like zone out the fight. So if you're trying to start a fight, you just ult their backline, it slows them, it does damage, and lets your initiators get close to them and hopefully kill them. But then the second thing you can do is, if you're losing, or if you know you're going to lose, you put your ult in between your whole team and their team, so that way it slows them down, and if you have your ultimate upgraded all the way, then it will speed you up some. The third way to use it is kind of to like protect your carries. So say your carries are really fed, but your initiators are not, so you're just trying to protect your carries, you can ult like almost on top of your carries, and that will discourage the enemy from trying to kill them. So that's a good way to use it. And one final thing for Gangplank, not really during teamfights but just later in the game, is you can always hide in bushes or just like around corners and then wait for somebody to come there, because with your barrels and just like having the jump on them, especially if you have static shiv, you can basically one-shot anybody and like kill them within like half a second, especially if they're squishy. So yeah, just look out for those opportunities and you should be good. Okay guys, this is going to be the final section, and it's going to be over runes and masteries. So for Gangplank, you want to go 12, 18, 0. So in the ferocity tree, you want to take sorcery, then you want to take fresh blood, then natural talent, then bounty hunter. These overall will give you the best damage and just the best chances to maybe get a nice one shot, and it will really help out your barrel damage. Then you want to get 18 points in the cunning tree, and this tree is mainly just for sustain in lane, and then Thunder Lords is also really good damage, and then intelligence. You just need that extra CDR. So you go savagery, then secret stash, then meditation, then bandit, then intelligence, and then thunderlords. For runes, you want to go 9 flat AD marks, then you want to go scaling health seals, unless you're against Darius or Riven or some AD champion that you have a hard time beating. Instead of going scaling health, you can go flat armor. Then for glyphs, you go flat cooldown reduction, and then for quintessences, you go 1 flat cooldown reduction and 2 flat AD. So after you get these, you'll be good, and you'll be ready to start playing Gangplank and hopefully making some cool plays.